Good morning, Raptor Freaks. Sunday morning. Alexiot's here for your preview for the second game against Orlando Magic this weekend in Orlando. We played them on Friday and lost to them disappointingly. Well, let's try and make up for it today. Today's going to be a weird game. I will say this is a must win. I mean, we cannot lose two in a row to them in their house and be losing the season series against them with their record. This is really, really bad. And hopefully we can just get some good feelings going, getting a good win today. But there's a lot of different things they got to do to make sure we get the win. And they had a really tough practice yesterday. And it was really good to hear some of the things coming from the interviews at practice yesterday. Nick Nurse, very matter of fact about things and talking about what they're doing. Gary kind of revealing what they're practicing yesterday. And that was a lot of rebounding. Also, there was some talk yesterday about players finding roles within the game at any moment in the game. That they did a whole kind of practice drill where they talk about, all right, in this particular scenario, we need somebody to fulfill this role when this happens. And when it's identifying what the role is at that moment and then fulfilling it in that moment also at the same time. One of the great things about our team is how versatile it is, how athletic it is, Vision 6'9". But in some ways, it gives an ambiguity to our roster build that can sometimes let things fall through the cracks as far as duties and roles and what people should be doing on the court. When you have all-around players that can do everything, sometimes all of the jobs are out there on the court, and people have to come in and pick up the different jobs as the game goes along. Some of them are very clear, like Chris, with his energy off the bench and his offensive rebounding, his rebounding in general. That is a clear role, and he's kind of defined it, and that's his thing. Well, there's a lot of guys on our team that need to go ahead and find clear roles in different ways. And, we could say Scotty's a great example of somebody like this, that maybe he needs to start carving out little niche things that we should be able to depend on him for night in and night out, instead of it just being a random, like, okay, whatever Scotty does for the night is what Scotty does. It's not that we want to put pressure on him. It's that we want him to craft the kind of NBA player that he's going to be. That if he can just get some sort of things that is like, this is his thing, like Chris is saying, this is his thing, that could really help him with his development and also help our team figure out how to win better. Like, it could be as simple as Nick says, Scotty, we really need somebody to do this particular action more often and better in the game. Could you really focus on adding this to your game? And then boom, all of a sudden, he's a young player in the NBA adding more skills that are valuable for NBA teams. And that you can't go wrong with that. So this is a weird period where there's a lot of ambiguity about, all right, who should be the guy who steps up and carries us home as a superstar? Well, it should be Pascal. But if it isn't him, who's our secondary? Who's our third? And who is going to be the guy that kind of just like says, okay, we're in trouble. We need somebody to score. That's been Fred in the past. But maybe we need other people to recognize that we need people to step up and do those roles. Another thing that Thad said in his interview yesterday was an important thing for the Magic or for the Raptors to do against the Magic is to impose their will on the game and what they want done in the game before they do. That's the difference between the two games against the Magic so far this year. Is in the first game, we went out there and imposed our will on them and imprinted on the game what we wanted to happen. Well, on Friday, we were kind of passive and allowed Orlando to come in and imprint what they wanted on the game. This is a big factor in games with Magic in particular. It's whoever's going to imprint what. And it means not being lazy. It means going after and getting it. I don't want to think that this team has poor effort people on it. I want to think that this team is all out like what Nick Nurse wants. But they really have to start showing it because the problems on defense really do stem from poor effort. And that they need to get together and figure this out. Like I said yesterday, where they were saying, staring at the mirror with Justin Bieber. Well, I hope they did look at it. And that today, they have a little bit more of an idea oriented around maybe taking up specific roles during the game that need to be done in that specific instant of the moment of the game. Maybe a rededication to rebounding and crashing the boards and doing better on the rebound battle against the Magic. These will all help them to hopefully win today. So it's gonna be interesting. Let me just check in with y'all's comments initially, and then I'll do the injury report. Monique is saying, "Good morning. Let's play better this game. No boneheaded plays. Hit first, play better. We have to. Happy game day. Go Raptors." Yeah, there's a bunch of snow outside here in Toronto, and they're in Orlando. Thank God. But they have to come back and they'll be back and they'll probably see all this snow. Ah! Now, the next game is Sacramento on Wednesday. So that means we'll have the reaction tomorrow and there'll be a trivia game on Tuesday. So everybody who plays trivia, be ready. We got a trivia game on Tuesday this week. So Tuesday trivia. All right. Isaac Campbell saying new day, new game, same team. Let's go Raptors. Yeah. Same new bat channel, new day, but same bat team. Yeah, something like that. Good to see you, Isaac. Lolita's here. Good morning, Raptor Freaks. First heavy snowfall in Toronto. No losing tonight. Win, 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 win. Focus and hard work. Go Raptors. Yeah, thank you, Lolita. And I agree. We need to not lose today. We really do. Because listen, I'm going to give them the opportunity today. I'm going to say, look, this is a fulcrum. This is a point where you can go one of the way. You can twist and turn, go which way you want to go, Raptors. And well, you lose today, I'll probably be saying tomorrow what I think you guys are going to go. If you win today, well, I'll have more optimism that you guys will right the ship and get this going in the correct fashion. Because right now there is uncertainty, and I'm usually pretty certain about the Raptors and their gifts. But right now, when there's disorganization, there's a failure, and there's just a lack of intensity or effort, I worry about them. I really do. Monique's saying Pascal needs help from everyone, a collective effort. This is so true. I mean, these guys are so good talent-wise overall. That this is a strength and a weakness to a degree. Because in some ways, people don't feel like they have to pick up responsibility if some other people around them are just as talented or more talented than them. And then it becomes ambiguous about who is who and what they should be doing and who should be helping what and what the responsibilities are. Now, the responsibilities in a regular rotation, and the report card stuff that they give you, and they can grade you on this stuff. That's certain kind of evaluation on the court, sure. And if you can do all that perfect, that doesn't mean you're doing everything perfect still. Because also part of what you need to be doing on the court, Raptors, is evaluating the roles and the things that need to be done in that moment. And that is something that we've been lacking. And I'm so glad that they focused on this yesterday in practice. And it looked like they had a really, really hard practice. Now, I haven't seen a whole lot of them on Instagram this weekend, which is good. And I did see that Earl Watson went to Disney World last night with his kid. So you go, Earl Watson. All right, let's keep going. Fun guy saying, to be honest, I don't blame our young guys anymore for mistakes. They're playing some janky ass Nick Nurse system that involves a whole lot of weird shit. Well, it isn't easy to learn, that's for sure. But it is really effective. It's been proven to be very, very good when it's done correctly. Now, listen, I do blame our young guys still, and I'm going to, and it's not their fault. You're right. They're young and they have to learn. But also at the same time, it's really what is the motives of the Raptors right now? What are our motives? I don't think it is to win a championship, because if it's that way, then we should not start Koloko if we want to win a championship. That's what I'm going to say right now. If we want to win a championship this year, we shouldn't be starting Koloko. And we can get away with playing Scotty in heavy minutes and stuff. But that's what I'm saying. When you have two of your starting five so green, you're just opening up, messing up your defense right away. You really do need learned scholars, people that are either experienced vets like that, or people that have been in the system that Nick has for like 4 or 5 years, like Fred and OG and Pascal. That you don't want to have two new guys like Scotty and Koloko. Now, Scotty's much more familiar with the system than Koloko. And that's the big problem I have with him starting, is that you're immediately opening the door for us to start losing right away. Because I don't care. I don't care how talented he is. I don't care how good he's going to be down the road. You don't do this normally. This is not something that in the history of the NBA, young centers like him that were drafted in the second round get thrown in the fire like this in this kind of way. It's not usually very successful. That's part of why I have a problem with it also. So I don't totally get why he's doing it. I really, really don't. I think that we'd be better served having more experience and veteran stuff in our lineup instead of just throwing Koloko out there in the fire every time. Now, Koloko has a post this morning on Instagram saying doubt is an interesting thing. And he has Kobe on it, quoting and stuff. And sure, yeah, some people, it's not that we doubt you, Christian. It's just that we want you developed properly. And I think he's throwing you into the deep end of the pool too quick. That you maybe needed to wade out through the shallow end to get to the deep end instead of just jumping right into the deep end of the pool. And that's my problem with it. I think it's a fail. I think that when you start Koloko, we lose. And you got to stop doing it, Nick Nurse. You don't even realize that right now. That, we can see the evidence. It was pointed out in a comment yesterday by Lion Hunter. In the first quarter and the third quarter, we have bad starts and we have bad things happen. Well, the common denominator is you putting Koloko out there when he's not ready. I really do think the water's over his head and you're not doing things correctly with him. Right now, he's a role player. He's not a solid starting center. A solid starting center establishes paint presence, establishes post defense. And he can't do that. He just doesn't have the body or the experience to do it correctly. Savvy offensive post players and people on the other teams will just kill him. And that's what's happened over and over again so far this season. You really need to start thinking about him as a bench role player right now, a guy that you could bring in for rim protection when we needed that. Last year, that's what we wanted last year. It wasn't that we wanted a starting center that has rim protection. It's that we wanted a backup center that could provide it when we needed it, because we don't need it all the time. It's just sometimes it's very nice to have out there. And it may very well be you start Khem, Birch, or Thaddeus and play them like 5 minutes, and then you bring Koloko in right away. But the whole important thing about why I'm saying this, Nick, is you have to defensive seal the low post at the beginning of the game right away, because they can really change the tide of everything that happens for the whole entire game. That if you can establish a defensive low post paint presence where nobody's getting layups, they're getting their ass on the floor instead. This is what you need to do. And Koloko's not doing this. He's ineffective. He looks like Aaron Baines on defense to me right now. And Khem Birch will come in there and he'll shut the door. I know he will. This is what he does. So I don't understand why you don't use this strength in the starting lineup to establish low post presence to stop them from coming inside. I don't understand it. I will never understand it until you figure it out. Now, if we see Koloko start today and they have an open door to go to the basket, know exactly that's why it is. And just, remember the Raptor Freak said it this morning. So, oh my gosh. All right, let's keep going. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying. Kareem saying continuity was a huge thing for the Raptors during the Rico runs, and we just don't have that right now. Paul George is probably really upset. They did win last night. The Clippers won against Washington. And yeah, you're saying that because he said we should start real good. Well, we did, Kareem. We did start really good at the beginning of the season. We started gangbusters, and we did have it revved up. It's just the injuries decimated our good momentum and have really made it hard for us to reestablish a lot of the good work we did this summer and in training camp and preseason. That it's all gone out the window because of, there's a lot of different things happening here. And we just need to figure out what works and stick to it. You want to stick to certain guys and play in certain rotations and playing them heavy. Well, stick to what works, Nick. And Khem Birch is what works. Sue's saying, good morning, everyone. Let's play together, pass well, be sure of shots, set it up, and limit ISO ball. Yeah, I like all this for our offense schemes is like very much limit ISO ball unless things are breaking down and you absolutely have to, unless it's Pascal and he's dominating and he's doing it freely and he's doing well. I'm okay with that. I don't want Fred going in ISO unless he is really on and he's hitting his shots. Gary can go ISO. He just does that. But you know what? I know what Sue's saying here. What percentage of our offense is going to be ISO, and what percentage is going to be pick and roll or give and go or screen and cut or any of that kind of stuff? That's the difference we want to see right now, Raptors. Are you going to just try and force it over their heads, like into them with the ISO ball like you always do? I feel like that's the lazy way in some ways at this point. The much tougher and better way to get a higher percentage shot, an easier shot, and get assists up is to do the other side that we're describing, whether it's pick and roll with Fred and Koloko, whether it's screen and cuts with OG and Scotty and different people coming near the basket, whatever it is. Just try and share the ball, because we know that the good theme these past couple weeks is sharing is caring. And the more we're sharing, the more we have a better offense. And I'm totally with you on this. As far as be sure of shots. Yes, execute. Be like, I'm making this, and or have a plan to make this. Don't go half-assed. Go all the way. Go strong. Because half the time, sometimes we're missing shit because it's half-assed attempts. And we need to make them strong attempts. And part of making them strong attempts is making them high percentage shots and not some crazy ass circus shots or DeMar DeRozan trying to beat three defenders at once. You need to make it a high percentage shot, whether it's getting closer to the rim, whether it's getting more open, whether it's just setting somebody up with a gift. Early Christmas, here you go, Thaddeus. Easy layup. Bam, Scotty found you. Whatever that kind of stuff is, that is a big part of how to make our offense look more effective and more capable in general. G saying, I hope he starts Khem Birch today. I hope so too. I mean, Khem played in Orlando. There's a familiarity. Mo Bamba being back is a problem. They've got some good rebounders over there, and they practiced rebounding yesterday. Well, they need to show that they put in some work on the rebounding yesterday. And it's not even like, it's weird. I want them to be more aggressive getting the offensive rebounds, but part of the problem is they're not doing as well on the defensive rebounds either for their own defensive rebounds. Both sides are important. But if we can get some offensive rebounds against their defensive rebounds, that is really, really good area that we need to, because a lot of teams recently have just cut us off. They're boxing us out really well, and they're taking away our offensive rebounding plus thing that we do that helps us have an advantage. All right, let's keep going. Monique saying no bad lapses in the third. Yeah, I'm telling you, we really got to watch this. Whether if Koloko starts strong and he does really well in the first quarter, sure. Does that guarantee that he'll start strong in the third? We won't see a lapse then. That's what I don't like about this. You're dependent on somebody who's as green as a green banana. There's a green banana. This guy is so green. And in any kind of profession, athletics, you have to go through a green rookie period, a green time, and I don't like how much they're relying on him like this. And this may be a hill that I stand on right now because it seems so cut and clear to me. And then once again, it's going to be like, oh, well, we're developing and we just want to give him the reps. Okay, well, then we have to accept we're going to lose a lot. And that's going to be this kind of year that we're developing year. We're going to play our young center, our rookie center, and just develop him. Well, we're going to lose a lot. And we may even miss the playoffs if you continue to do this, Nick, is what I'll say. Let's see. Sue saying, agree, Mo, and start off strong so we aren't down by 20 and a half. Yeah. Yeah, it's the first and the third quarter. Take your choice and look at who's out there and why. And look at why it's breaking down and why people are getting to our basket so easy. Because people are getting confused because they're young and they don't know what they're doing. And if you have two players that make mistakes like that, you can have one and try and cover it up. That was a big part of last year with Scotty starting and playing so much. Well, it's just one of him. The rest of them are all very capable, and they could cover up his mistakes a little bit more easier. Even Scotty's so talented, he could cover up his own mistakes with his athleticism. Well, when you have two of them out there and they both maybe make same mistakes or different mistakes at the same time, you can't cover up two mistakes at all, and your defense just falls apart. And that's a big part of the problem right there. Is that inexperience of two young players in your starting lineup, a second year and a rookie, will fuck up your defense when 2 out of the 5 people aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. And all right, let's keep going. Tom Duke's here. Good to see Tom Duke. 56 games left, sitting with a 500 record, only 3 games back from third. Let's get the rotations sorted out, Dr. Nurse. Yes, Tom Duke. This is good kind of optimism benchmarks to look at. That's a lot of games left in the season. There's a lot that can happen in that time. And yeah, we're 500. Well, today's one of those days. Do we want to be under 500 after a day? Do you guys have pride? And you don't want to lose to the worst team in the Eastern Conference record-wise. Do you have pride? You're going to either go below 500 or you're going to get one game above 500 and be stuck around 500 like last year around this time, like just bouncing up and down underneath and above 500. When are we going to launch and start a win streak and get some games way above 500 and get out that place like third, like Tom Duke is saying? When are we going to do this, Raptors? When can you get it off the ground? We thought you could do it this weekend, but you couldn't. And that's the thing that's so disappointing. That, this could have been a win streak this weekend, but it's been marred by a Friday night loss. All right, let's keep going. I'm a fun guy saying I really get on Precious for his boneheaded stuff, but man, do we need him. Scotty, Gary, Pascal all elevate with Precious defensive and offensive capabilities. I agree with this. It is true, but you know what? Precious gets a bad knock. He had some boneheaded stuff at the beginning of the season last year, but he really cleaned it up as the season went up on through the season. He got better and better. And you didn't see him make a whole bunch of mistakes near the end of the year. He was playing very clean basketball and very well. And I love what you're saying. I really do think that he adds an edge to us, an attitude edge that we've lacked in the last couple weeks. And also, not only just that, a defensive rebounding presence that's just so good and so like overpowering. And then that threat of him bursting towards the basket and just dunking it on them at any time. There are really good things that we miss about Precious. Let's look at the injury report since you're talking about him right now. Precious is right now it's saying that he will remain out, I think, for another 2 weeks before the Raptors have a clear timeline for his return. Now, somebody did say in the last day or so that Precious is expected to be back before the end of the year. So maybe he's back before New Year's or for the game just after New Year's on the 2nd, I believe, is the first game in the new year. So they're expecting him to be back right around New Year's, if not the game before New Year's or the game after New Year's. So that's kind of the latest update on Precious. As far as Wancho's going, he's still going to miss. I guess it's been he'll miss another 3 to 7 days. So see, he could be out for another week or just another couple of days. He could be back for Sacramento actually, Wancho and Otto Porter. They're saying from Thursday he has a scheduled visit with the specialist next week, with the hope it will shed a positive light in regards to his return. And then, oh yeah, this is the other thing on her injury today. OG's on the injury list today. He's questionable to play today versus the Magic due to a left hip soreness. Eric Smith reports. OG is actually day to day, guys. He's questionable, so we may not have OG tonight, which is unfortunate. But you know what? We got to do what we got to do with who we got. And him playing 44 minutes the other night, and you know, if we're down another player, that we just got to take the challenge. On the other side of the ball, the Magic are missing Chima Okiki, Gary Harris, Jalen Suggs. Jonathan Isaac is still on the Lakeland Magic, and Wendell Carter Jr. is still out. So it's the same injuries for the Magic as Friday night. Nothing different. There are 2 games today, guys. There's actually a 9:05 game that starts at 1 o'clock today. The 9:05 are playing the Maine Celtics once again in Maine at 1 o'clock. So you can check that game out. And I got referees for both games if you want to hear. The referees for the G League game are Jenna Renault, Julian Scott, and Rachel Rayford. And that game is at 1 o'clock, as I said. So if you want to watch some Raptors 9:05 at 1 o'clock, there is a game. And then here we go. Let's talk about the referees for Toronto at Orlando today. Ben Taylor is our head ref once again. We have lost 2 straight games with Ben Taylor refereeing. He has historically been a really good ref for us. We actually win 65% of the time when he's reffing, and the Magic win 49% of the time. But still, we've lost 2 games in a row with him reffing so far this year. We are 0-2 with him reffing this year. Now, Ben Taylor is from Orlando. He lives in Orlando, but he's from Tennessee. So he's at home already for this game. His favorite show is The West Wing. His favorite movie is Field of Dreams. He likes Brian McKnight. His favorite meal is the cheeseburger and tater tots. He's the one who wants to go to Sonic and the drive-thru. And then his hidden talent is dancing. He'd most like to visit Scotland, and he'd like to play golf at Augusta National. So he likes to play golf and spend time with his wife and son. And he likes to help teaching young referees. In fact, he's going to be teaching a young referee in this game tonight. There's going to be a ref that I don't have any information on. We've actually seen him this year too already. Intang Kwang. We don't have any info on what he likes to eat or anything, and I don't have any stats for him either. So it's kind of like he's going to be a totally new ref. This may be one of his first games that he's ever refed in his career. And also Ben Taylor has a degree in public relations. So that is his field, is in PR. The second ref, y'all, is somebody we're not going to be happy to see either. And he's been up and down for us. Our record with Kevin Cutler is 53%. We've actually lost the last couple games with him also when he's ref. And the Magic are 40% win with Kevin Cutler's in the game. Kevin Cutler is the ref who threw Fred out at halftime a couple games ago. He's the big guy who threw Freddie out. Remember that guy? Yeah, he's from Arizona, and his favorite musician is Luther Vandross, and his favorite book is Uncomfortable Conversations with the Black Man. He loves to play the trumpet. He'd most like to visit Africa, and his favorite meal is chicken. Now, Kevin enjoys playing golf also, reading and spending time with his family. So we got a couple of golfers as the two main refs. But Kevin Cutler, yeah, he's that big, huge ref that didn't like Fred and threw him out at the beginning of the third quarter, that one game. So, yeah, we got those two refs. And then the last ref, as I said, is a ref from Asia named Inte Huang. And we've seen him before, but I don't have any stats on him. I don't know anything about his profile or anything, but he's a brand new ref. So Ben Taylor's going to be mentoring and teaching him in the game tonight. There's a lot of brand new refs reffing today. It's almost like they have like a bunch of ref crews for all the games in the NBA today with head refs that are pretty strong, and then they're teaching young refs today. So we've got Inte Huang, Kevin Cutler, and Ben Taylor as our referees for the Raptors game. So yeah, I guess we need some chicken and some cheeseburgers and tater tots. We don't need anything fancy today. And I don't know what Huang wants, so I can't tell you that. All right, let's keep going. Mike saying, salute Real Ones, Project Truth always. All right, Logical Raptors Fanatic. Check out Logical Raptors Fanatics channel. Dropping stuff on Saturdays at 2 p.m. Always new stuff. This week, he's got something on Thad Young. So check out his clip on Thad Young that he just put out yesterday. Tom Duke saying, good morning. Blackhawks here. Christian needs a true center to model himself by. I can go with Birch. Otherwise, trade for a better center to mentor him. Chris Boucher is not a good mentor for how to be a solid center. In some ways, Chris can help him, though, still with positioning and kind of like, because there's similar body types in some ways right now, that maybe he can help him like learn some of the stuff faster that Chris had to learn the hard way as a younger player with a slight build, a little skinnier out there. You can't hold a lot of weight, like size-wise, but he's long. Well, actually, Chris may be able to help him in certain ways, but you're right. He won't be able to help him with center defensive stuff like Khem Birch can. And this is really like Christian will get this better than Chris over time. He will get strong, low post defensive presence. It's just that he's so green, so weak, and not strong enough to do it at this point. These guys are too big, and they'll push him to the side. But he's got to figure out how to stand his ground. And that's the hardest thing when you're playing defensive center is to learn how to stand your ground. In some ways, Scotty's a better defensive center than a Christian Koloko is right now. That he can play and be much more forceful with his body, holding guys off or keeping them away from the basket. I like this kind of idea in some ways, but this is crazy because we were saying we want to get a center for years, but we thought we got a center this summer. I don't know if we can get another guy. But maybe. I think Chris could probably help with this. I don't know, Blackhawk. This is interesting. But yeah, I like I don't know. We have to see who's teaching him. Like also Thad's probably teaching him a lot of stuff also. So that's pretty interesting too. Monique saying, keep shooting, Gary Trent. Hope everyone follows along with him. Seriously, guys. Let's go Raptors. Yeah, Gary is actually like not afraid to shoot, and he's making a high clip. He's shooting really well off the bench since he's been moved to the bench, and I like this trend. Now, could this rub off on other guys? One of the things I want the Raptors to do is to kind of set each other up. There's something about certain things about allowing confidence for the whole team and to get going. I mentioned this in the last couple of days about how when Fred comes out and he bricks or misses his first couple of threes, it really hurts our team three-point shooting overall. It's like we need to get the most sure shot three-point shooter to shoot the threes in the beginning because that sets the tone because it catches like contagiousness. That like one person makes threes, boom, somebody else is making threes easier. Now it can happen in reverse. That this is really important to think about. Who's opening that seal on the threes? And can they be successful at making them? Because that can set the tone for your three-point field goal percentage for the whole entire game. that if you have one guy that's missing already and just breaking them, well, that's the 3-point leader, and it's Fred. He's leading us, saying, okay, I'm going to shoot the first couple of threes, but he's missing them all. That can really hurt us and set the tone for a lot of different guys missing threes. So I want them to take that seriously. If you're going to take the first couple of threes, you better fucking make them if you're a Raptor, is what I'm saying. And then also, this also goes for the free throw line. If you're the first person to get to the line in the game, you want to set the tone as the leader. You're leading into the free throw line and make those initial free throws. When I see guys come out and take the first free throws for our team and miss them or brick them at the beginning of the game, I'm pissed off, because you're the free throw leader for the night. You're the first one to get the line, and you set the tone for the whole team for the whole night in some ways about whether we're taking our free throws seriously and making them. Because if somebody sees you come up there casually and shoot a bunch of shitty free throws at your first attempts when you get out there, maybe other guys will be this laissez-faire and lazy at the free throw line also afterwards. So I want the Raptors to think about this. You're leaders for other people. Much like Chris is a leader for energy. He runs out there and everybody gets a boost. Oh, Chris is running. You know, Yuta used to do this for us. He would boost energy on the court just for his presence, because the way he plays is infectious. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, shooting, making shots, and missing shots can be infectious in both ways. And we want it to be infectious, that everybody's making shots, because the right people are breaking the seal at the three-point line and the free throw line. That if you are the first Raptor that gets to the line tonight, make those free throws, because you set a tone for that aspect of our game for the night. If you're the first Raptor to attempt 3-point shots for the night, make those 3-point shots, because you set a tone for the rest of the night. That's what I'm saying. And classically, an NBA team, the best way to start your offense is to set up a guy in the post and get a really high percentage easy shot near the basket. And that, you know, the Bulls always started that way. They would never start with Michael Jordan starting off the offense. They would throw that ball down to Bill Cartwright with the first possession and let him work in the post and make an easy basket. And that's how they broke the seal on the game. And it set the tone. And him starting in the middle opens things up for the whole game. I don't know why NBA teams don't do this anymore. Maybe they're just like, oh, the 3-point game is such king that it's like they just come out and start busting threes. They never start to establish the paint first, inside out. Because if you establish the paint first and that you can score down there, it's easier for you to shoot outside. And then in some ways, maybe this is what Raptors need to do to help their 3-point shooting, is get that paint established first. And you know who that guy is? Throw that ball into Scotty right away at the beginning of the game. Get him in that post. Let him go down there and operate and get a couple of baskets real quick down low near the basket with his crazy, amazing low post moves right now. And that could help everything for the rest of the game. It's like almost like, Nick, scheme your offense for the first 5 minutes of the game and really establish how you want to break this game open and start it offensively in a really good way. Get off the good foot. Because if you do that, that could set the tone for the whole entire game. I don't care if it's like you say, all right, you guys can freeform, do whatever you want in the middle. But at the very beginning of the game, if you want to establish certain things like defensive low post presence, you want to establish easier shots for your team throughout the whole entire game, take these two kind of things, these aspects about how you start the game very seriously. Whether it's getting a high percentage low post shot at beginning to open up your offense, which in turn will make them have to concentrate on the low post more, and that'll open up your 3-point shooters to make their shots easier and get more open. It's all just basic basketball theory and understanding. Sometimes getting back to the basics is best when things seem so complicated and hard. And that's why I'm crying out for this. The easiest thing is go ahead. Start Khem Birch. Establish that low post fortress down there. Nobody's coming within 3, 5, 4 feet of this basket, because Khem is there to match and meet you and hold you off. That's the only thing he cares about, is not letting anybody score near the basket. He should be starting, because he will help us with that in so many different ways. Sure, other people lag off him, maybe not play him on offense, and he'll cause double teams, but you can still beat that. You can figure that out. Let him stay down low and dump it off to him. He'll get dunks. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe I should apply to be a coach on their team. They need a voice, an old school crazy voice like mine, and just say, y'all, what are y'all doing? Just, it's so clear to see. Can't you just figure this out? Just do this the easy, old, tried and true, tested way. All right, let me read some more of these comments. All right, G saying fun guy. Yep, missing Precious, especially now that we see the lack of paint protection. Yeah, Precious is another guy that takes this seriously. He's like, this is my territory, this is my yard. And I'm not letting you come into my yard. I'm a junkyard dog about this, and I will fuck you up. You try and come in here. It's very much a Charles Oakley kind of thing. That you want to protect your rim, you want to protect the goal from the other team scoring. You have to take it very seriously. That you have to be in between them. And in some ways, like I said, Koloko's too lithe. He's too skinny, and guys can glide right by him. And he's not meeting them. He's not stepping in between. He's not impeding their progress. He's not getting in between them. That's why he's a fail as a defensive center right now. And I wish they could see that. Savage is saying ball movement. Ball movement? For sure, Savage. And thank you for coming more to the light. I guess when we're down, it's easier. I don't know. Omari is saying, I think a trade is coming soon. Not sure who, though. This could very well be true. I mean, if we continue to struggle like this is definitely true. But if we can pull the truck out of the mud and get going down the road and get some good things going before New Year's, maybe not. We'll have to see, especially if we get Precious back in time and then boom, everything starts going great in the new year. Look out. Maybe there won't be a trade and we'll avoid it. But I think Omari is going to be right if we continue to slide. If we continue to lose for the rest of December, way more than we win, and we start to go below 500, yeah, I think he's right. There will be a trade. I'm a fun guy saying, look, guys, I've been saying it for a while now. I think the writing is on the wall for Gary Trent. Enjoy him while you can. Seriously, he could even likely be gone by trade deadline. I'm not going to disagree with you. And I know this is very true. And a lot of experts are speculating this is true too. And a lot of it has to do with next summer and the way the contracts are looking and what we want to spend and stuff like that. Yeah, it sucks. And maybe that's part of the reason why this team is so weird and kind of like confused and messed up. That could be a factor in it. The uncertainty of Gary and his role and whether he's going to get traded at any time. Yeah, that could be a factor in it. I could see that. Mike's saying logical Raptors fanatic saying Blackhawk. I know where you're coming from, and he's teaching to be tough and show the issues Boucher had, and in turn giving the right info for Konono to work on. It's not just about able to be doing it. Okay, Mike. Once again, I gotta kind of so much, and it's a run on. You gotta use some periods. Yeah, okay. You're talking. Well, Boucher can teach him. Like, listen, Boucher had a lot to overcome as a young, skinny guy, playing kind of center, power forward, not really totally sure what he plays in the league. And he learned a lot of hard lessons. He can definitely help Christian learn with a similar body type, stuff that maybe nobody told him. And he's definitely somebody who can mentor and help Christian in some ways. But I don't think that he's a good one for. And what this is what Blackhawk is saying is that he's not a good one for teaching him like the shut him down, because Chris is still not this kind of player. Like Khem is a better defender down low post than Chris is. Chris can do some shoving and a little bit of like kind of stuff at this point, but he's never ever the good seal that Khem is. So I think that both can teach him, but they're different things they're teaching. Like really, I bet you that Chris teaches him footwork and kind of like rebounding positioning and kind of anticipation and things like that. Whereas Khem may teach him like, like steady, like getting anchored and steady and how you hold your body to really like hold people off, and also how to read where they may be coming at the basket and how to rotate and get there quick and how to do it in an effective way so that you're not fouling, and maybe like also able to take charges. Like Chris will probably teach him how to take charges like Kyle Lowry taught him. So there's different things that these guys will teach young Christian Koloko. And Thad has a whole bunch of stuff too, as far as like the little baby hooks and different things like that. He can teach him stuff with that. G saying there needs to be a consistent second option at least most nights. Think this will help define roles better too. Yeah. I really do think this is a huge, crazy problem for us. Vision 6-9 is ambiguous and it doesn't shoot well. And these are two of the problems. We don't have very good shooters because we're athletes and we're very talented all around. And then also, we can't we're all so good that there's stuff that needs to be done, there's responsibilities, but sometimes they fall through the cracks because anybody could do them, and kind of everybody's like saying, well, why didn't you do this, or nobody did this, nobody stepped up and did this stuff. And we're all talented and we could do it. It's just nobody stepped in and took the initiative to make sure that this stuff got done. And that's the thing that's like that. So I really wish they would talk outside. All right, let's see. Because they're always out there behind my door or behind me when I'm doing this. Let me see. There needs to be okay. Hot take Jay saying offensive production is a problem. This is why I mentioned I wanted a secondary backup point guard with offensive skills that knows how to navigate pick and roll. Scotty just ain't there yet. Yeah, our point guard situation is kind of like messed up in some ways. Like people are upset with Fred. People think Fred has not played well recently. He's a little bit slumping, and we don't really have the normal backup point guard. We have a committee with a bunch of different skills. Whether it's Malachi, who's a shoot first, pass second, small guard. You got Delano, who's like green, but is very aggressive and quick and can get the ball up and down the court. And then Scotty, I mean, I don't really count Scotty as our backup point guard. I really don't. If he's a backup point guard for us, then Pascal is too, because they're basically playing the same role in a lot of ways, Pascal and Scotty. So, I mean, I understand what you're saying. Like maybe a more vet guy, maybe this will actually take care of two things. But it also kind of it hurts our development for Delano and Malachi. If we're going to have another guy involved in the rotation for point guard minutes, then these guys are never going to get to play because they're barely getting to play right now. But it would be like somebody maybe that you get that's a very capable backup point guard, but that can score and hit threes and is very consistent in that also. I see what Hot Take Jay's looking for and what he likes. And I'm not totally against the idea of doing this. If this was what they deem is necessary for a trade and doing what they want to do, then I'm all for it. But I think that there's already a glut in that position, and we just need to sort it out better and maybe utilize the different skills of the different looks at point guard in a better way. Like, I don't feel like he's using his point guards the right way, like for different situations and scenarios. Malachi may be very good if we're down by like some points and we need to catch up real quick. We need somebody to fill it up. You get him out there to hit some threes and make some points. If you need the ball to be the pace of the game to be picked up, you put Delano out there. It's really like, once again, our guys have different things that they can do and help. And maybe it's the fault of the Raptors being so like ambiguous about everything. Well, start giving them roles, Nick. Start telling them this is what your role is going to be on this team. And then maybe people will play even better because they understand what their responsibilities are. They're more clear. And that if you can tell Delano, like, this is what I need you to go in and do when you come in, maybe this will help things, that they can focus on specific things instead of just playing in general. It's like if you tell Scotty a directive and a mission for a stint on the court, I'm sure he'll try and do it. And that's a great weapon to have because he's versatile in doing anything. And it could be at that moment you're like, well, I really need to get more offensive rebounds, Scotty. Can you just crash the board like crazy? Or we need you to go ahead and do your low post dominance because we're really hurting right now to get a basket. We need to call your number and get you down there and make a high percentage shot. So, I don't get it. Like, in some ways, these coaches need to be telling these guys what their roles are on the team. And it's too ambiguous. I know part of it is trying to figure it out and learning new things, fact-finding mission, what the players can do just on their own. But even as you're learning that stuff, maybe when you find something that's real good, go ahead and implement it and say, yeah, we need you to do this all the time. And this is your new role because you just showed us something. And this will really help us play more consistent. If you think about this role being a consistent duty of yours for the game. So, all right, there we go. Okay. Blackhawks saying Boucher doesn't box out, pump fake, pass out when doubled under the basket, and he goes too low under the basket, so he has his own growing pains. Yeah, he's definitely had his own growing pains and stuff that he's had to sort out. And that's why maybe he can help Christian maybe get past some of the mistakes that he's had to make. And I agree with this. He boxes out kind of in a weird way. He's better at boxing out than he was when he was a youngster. He wasn't a good box out in his first couple of years, for sure. The pump fakes are coming. Like, he has a thing, like, and Christian needs to do this too, obviously, because when they go straight up, they're just getting fouled and he loses the ball. But when they do a little bit of and then up, it is usually is pretty successful. Now, as far as Chris going too low under the basket, that's actually part intentional. That's kind of a sneaky no man's land where he can sneak in and get rebounds. And that's an old Dennis Rodman move. Rodman used to always stay right underneath the basket and then kind of slink up under and grab the ball real quick and then put it back up. But Chris's body's so wiry and bendy that he can do that and do contortionist kind of stuff and make those shots. If you look, he's really good right around the basket. His field goal percentage is pretty high. He's not like a Bismack Biyombo where he misses a lot of bunnies. He's putting that ball in the hoop when he's right up close to it, even if he's underneath the basket. So I don't get upset about him being caught under there. That's actually intentional to a degree. So, but yeah, there's growing pains that we've seen Chris have. And maybe if Christian can avoid some of those growing pains that Chris has had as being a defensive liability at center, that would be good because it is very similar. Chris Boucher was a defensive liability at center for a lot of years early in his career. And it's not, it's the point to where he didn't play center anymore. And that's the difference is he can't play center. He's not designated as center on our team anymore. And Nick said he's not going to play him at center anymore because he realizes he's a liability at defensive center. So Lolita's saying NBA Chev went off in his channel, say things that need to be said. I think Raptors were listening as per interviews. Are you okay, Les? Lex, you are so upset, as do we. I've been upset. I'm just kind of like, listen, I really try and be positive and be very optimistic. But right now I got to be real. And there's some scary things going on right now. And it's not even that I'm chicken littling. It's just that I'm looking at real like basketball team kind of stuff that isn't happening with our basketball team. And that is what scares me. It's just like, I know the track record. I know the history of this team. And when you can't close out games efficiently to try and win or make winning plays, you just don't have it, then we're in trouble. We're regressing because this is something we've been good at every year. Even in the Tampa year, we were good at it, even with undermanned people. We're not undermanned right now to a degree, and we're failing like we would in Tampa right now. And that's the thing that's scary to me. That's the thing that's scary to me right now. And then the defensive lapses are way worse this year than they were last year. We never got blown out last year like we did to Oklahoma City, New Orleans, and Brooklyn this year. We've never had 3 big blowouts like that within 2 weeks of it happening. The frequency of that is too soon and close together. And then you add in a horrible loss to the Magic, a team we should have won against on Friday. And there's all kinds of signs of like this team's fucked up and there's things wrong with it. And I just have to be real about it. I'd be interested to hear what Chev said. I'm sure that he was very harsh and maybe he's like in a riot act. But listen, the coaches, they probably know, the players know, and they kind of figure it out. There's only one way or no, because there's only one way with Masai. You need to win. And if you don't, he's going to make changes. And that's the thing I love about it is that if anything, it's like, I'm not going to worry about this team not having the gumption or giving up or just being a pathetic franchise because like nobody cares. Well, somebody cares. And that's Masai Ujiri at the top. He really, really cares. And he will make sure this team gets right one way or another. And I at least have that in the back of my head as far as like, okay, at least this is for sure. That Masai's not going to stand for not winning, and he will make adjustments to make sure we win over long term. So I have at least that. But I'd be interested to hear what NBA Chev's saying. I'm sure he's going off, and he has a lot to say, and I would listen to him. I seriously would, because he's a good old head basketball guy. He knows his stuff. Logical Raptors fanatic saying Blackhawk. Boucher is a super unique guy, but it's the coaching complex. Those who can't teach. Boucher has the knowledge from Gasol and Ibaka, needs to teach it on, in my opinion. Well, he's definitely his vet. I mean, it happened on Hustle Play. He told him, it's like Christian said, I guess he's my vet. Well, Chris is your vet, bro. Is whether it's him telling you not to go out and not get any trouble, whether it's him teaching you little things around the court in different ways. He's definitely one of your vets. But you have many vets. You have a lot of vets on this team that he's learning from. But Chris can be very helpful in certain ways. Now, you know, we've already talked ad nauseum about what the different guys can teach him. Monique is saying 905 need to pick up more wins, to be honest. Well, right now, I don't care. They're 5-8. They're not going to go in the showcase, and these games don't really matter. They're kind of playing. It's like the end of the season, and they're games that don't matter. They're not going to make the playoffs. Just got to go through the motions and just play them. Now, if they win today, that'd be fantastic. I mean, I'd like them to win and make the record a little bit better. If they can try and even it out by the end, that means they have to win out and win the last 3 games of this part of the season. And then they'll be 8-8, 500 for the first part of the season, the showcase part of the season. But yeah, winning is always good. We want to see them win, but they're playing for nothing. at this point right now. They really are. Tom Duke's got the food for the refs. He's got a cheeseburger and a plate. He's got that looks like Chinese food and a kiwi. Chinese food and a kiwi. I guess maybe this tater tots. I don't know. And then he's got the chicken and he's got the yum face. And we're not sure what Wang wants. So maybe we just bring extra chicken and cheeseburgers for Wang. I'm sure he'll like that too. G saying, I really want to see Delano tonight. I would love to see Delano tonight. I'd love to see Delano and Khem Birch. And hell, mix in a little Malachi. Why not? Malachi running around with Cole Anthony. I think he can do that. What's wrong with him playing against Cole Anthony and trying to shoot out with him? Man, Nick, just if OG's not going to play tonight, then there are going to be some minutes out there. So we'll have to see. Seymour Pape saying game day. Let's go Raptors. Yes, Seymour Pape. Let's go. Let's go. Oh. Fred on Michael Granger. What did he say? I'll have to find that out. Omari's saying, where do you coach, Lex? Where do I coach? Well, I used to coach way back. I'm not really coaching anymore now. But I used to coach a men's league team in Florida. I did it for like 6 years in the 90s. I was coaching my friends, actually. I was coaching my peers and older people than me. But it was fun. We had a lot of fun, and we won a lot, and we just had a good time. And even after I left and came back to Canada, one of my best friends kept running the team afterwards. So we had a good decade long of good, fun basketball. The team was called the Fat Guys, and none of us were fat. It was the PHAT guys, the fat guys, and we played a lot of fat guys because the other teams were all usually fat. And that was part of the irony of the joke of our team name. And our team was made up of all-stars from high school teams. Like, these weren't college level players. These were high school level players that were very good. And they played for all different high schools in Tallahassee. And I kind of combined them together. And we had a guy from Lincoln, from Leon, from Sale, from Rickards. We had different high schools represented on our team, and we were actually real good. But it was a lot of fun. There was all kinds of crazy stuff that happened back then, the coaching and like figuring out rotations and just everything that we did. It was a lot of fun and really cool to test it and practice and all kinds of crazy scenarios and different stuff. I wasn't the best player. I was playing, though. I was a player coach, and I was kind of like a bench swing man. I came in and kind of played small forward, shooting guard off the bench for this team. And that's my height. I know I was like a small forward on our team. We had tall guys. And Chuck Daddy was one of our players. We had a lot of guys. Remember I told you the story about my player that ate the onions before the game just to have a defensive advantage? Yeah, he'd eat onions and he wouldn't bathe too. He'd smell like shit. And that was he did that on purpose so people would stay away from him. But yeah, it's all long ago. I mean, I could coach youth stuff. I coached people just individually in years since, like just on how to shoot better and different things like that. Because I can teach fundamentals and teach all the kind of regular basketball stuff that any coach can teach. It's just I'm not in practice. And, I'm kind of a shut-in. I don't leave my house very much right now. But I could go out there and start doing it again. It'd be fun. Tom Duke saying, my high school coach was dramatic. He'd throw chairs onto the court and get thrown out all the time. Was a great coach, though. I bet Lex would be entertaining and a great coach on and off the court. I was everything for that team. I was the general manager. I was the coach. I was everything. I had to go and get sponsors for the team. I had to go get T-shirts made, jerseys for us. I had to organize practices. I had to get these guys to come and show up to the practices, and there's no money involved. In fact, they're paying me to play in the league because there was a fee to play in this league. There was a lot to the whole thing. So half of it was administrative, and then half of it was like coaching. Now, I was never like that. I didn't get angry like that. I had players that got like that were crazy. I had some of the craziest players, but I was always a very nice coach with the refs and not causing any problems that way. I don't think I ever got a tech or anything, but I had players that got techs and I had players that got thrown out too, because I had some wild ones on my team. Chuck Daddy was a problem. He really was like a Dennis Rodman on my team. And I told the story about the one game where he made us lose because he got ejected from the game and he would not leave the court. And the referee was yelling at him. He was like cussing at the ref back. And because he wouldn't leave the game, they called the game with like 30 seconds on the clock and we were down by 2. They just said, no, we're not going to finish the clock because your player will not leave the court. So, yeah, I've dealt with some crazy stuff. Oh, my gosh. Nameless is saying the The stupid back-to-back scheduling, the injuries, what the fuck, man? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to what's happened with us this season, but we just needed to strive and survive and do better because our record could be way better right now than it is. We've lost some games that we had no business losing this year, and that's the thing that's the most disappointing for me, is that they've had opportunities to launch their team into like winning streaks or more wins, and they just haven't taken those opportunities and gone with them. Seymour saying Coach Bobby Knight mentality. Yeah, I'll bet Tom Duke's coach sounds like Bobby Knight. That dude was crazy. Yeah, he would be throwing shit and yelling all over the place. Bobby Knight. Yeah, he was nuts. I remember Bobby Knight back in the day. Indiana. Woo-hoo-hoo. Bobby Knight was a fireball. Oh my gosh. Monique saying same thing with the Kings versus the Raptors. Can't take them lightly. You know, Rico wants to beat his former team. Yeah, Kings we can't take lightly at any kind of way. We can't take anybody lightly at this point. We fucking can't beat the Magic. We can't take them lightly. There's nobody we should be taking lightly. And like somebody put like last night, you know, the Spurs just got went and beat the Miami Heat last night. So even the teams that are in the victor sweepstakes, they're not necessarily teams you can take lightly still. They're very dangerous. You know, Eric Spoelstra comes out and says all these nice things about Coach Popovich. Says, "Oh, he's a hero to me. He does all this stuff. He's so good. I've learned so much watching him." And then Coach is saying, "Oh, you said some nice things about me, Eric. Well, I'm going to come out there and beat your ass now on the court." And he did. He went and beat his ass, and the coach outcoached him. So yeah, there's no slouches this year, and none of it's easy at all. None of it is easy, and especially Sacramento right now. Sacramento was already dangerous last year, but we took care of them in certain ways. But this year is even more dangerous. Logical Raptors fanatic saying, "Yeah, Blackhawk and Lex are right on the defensive center stuff. Heavy body strategies for sure." It's a sound way that the NBA's tried to get away from, but they realize that this is still a fundamental that determines NBA games and who wins. Can you have a physical presence? Can you have strength? Can you have size down low? It's historic. Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, Shaq. You know, you want to meet with the beef down low. And if you don't got nobody with no beef down there doing anything to stop people from coming to your basket, well, then you get scored on easily. And that this is something throughout the history of the Raptors that I paid very, very close attention to. And that's why I'm so upset about this right now. That, you know, even the early expansion Raptors had very good defensive big guys that could hold down around the paint. We may not have been good at very much, but we had guys like Oliver Miller, John Sally, Carlos Rogers, Ed Pickney that actually were good, sound, low post defenders who could keep people out of getting easy shots close to our basket. Well, the expansion Raptors that won 20 games a year were a better defensive low post game than us. Like right now, that's fucked up. And I know there's different periods of time. Like think about the Bosch Bargnani years. That we really had horrible defensive post presence down there because we had two offensive guys as our two bigs, and neither one of them were good to totally near the basket with defending. Sure, Bosch was a good defender in some ways, but he was not a low post center defender, and neither was Bargnani. So what are you fucking doing if you start them at 4 and 5? You're nothing. You're going to get scored on like crazy down low. That's what I'm saying. You got to look at the different eras. Look at people like Bismack Biyombo. Look at people like Serge Ibaka and see what they did for us around the basket. Charles Oakley, Antonio Davis, Kevin Willis. Those guys. That's what I'm saying. That's why you need Khem Birch, Nick. Because Khem is the closest thing to any of those names that I just named as far as defensive presence down low. And bite the bullet on the offensive end or strategize around him. He doesn't hurt you on the offensive end that much. He makes his presence very low. Maybe he stays down there, or he's just set screens to help you guys as much as possible. He's not a liability, so I don't understand why Khem does not play more, because he plays winning basketball. He plays defensive basketball, and this is what we need right now. All right, let's keep going. Starscream's here. Good to see Nets fan. Morning, Lex. Somehow my team won with a G League lineup last night. Hopefully you guys take the Magic seriously today. I really hope so, too. I mean, I don't know who you guys beat last night. Who you guys playing? You played Indiana last night. You guys were losing a big chunk of the game, and you came back. Yeah, they were winning in the second half. You guys did not have any of your big names. Wow. That's actually pretty impressive, Nets. That's what I'm saying, and this also feeds fire to what I've been saying about the Pacers, that they're going to fall apart and they're not going to be very good because they didn't have anybody missing really for the Pacers. They looked like they were full strength, and the Nets came in with their B team and beat them. I mean, seriously, they started Morris, Edwards, Kessler Edwards, Deron Sharp, Patty Mills, and Sumner. They didn't even have Claxton. That is insane. That is insane, man. Well, go for you. Good for you. You want your kudos? There's your kudos. G saying Nets looked so great without their starters. Ball movement and Cam Thomas took advantage of his opportunity. I'm amazed at how many points they scored without Kyrie, Kevin, Ben Simmons, Nicholas Claxton. There's other guys missing too. That's like Watanabe did play though. Lion Hunter saying Nick better insert either Trent or Young in the starting lineup tonight. I'm with you. I think if it's going to be, I would like it to either be Thad Young or Khem Birch. One of those two. Trent's so good off the bench right now. I think we just need to have him there. Good morning, Bradley. Canadian Cowboy saying good morning. And Raptor Freaks, let's go. Yes, we need to go today and win the last game in Orlando this weekend. 6 o'clock tonight is the start, I believe. It's a 6 o'clock start. So it's a little early, guys. Be ready for it. G saying Fred, Pascal, and Scotty all want to bring the ball up the court. In that case, would rather Pascal bring the ball up, Fred play off ball, and Scotty in the post. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I like that actually too, G. That in some ways, I think Pascal should be carrying the ball more than anybody because he's just such a threat to like initiate something with a spin or something at the top of the key. And he's the one who's passing more out of double teams and doing more of like finding people than anybody else on this team. Fred does not do it as much as he should. And Scotty just doesn't have the savviness or learned enough to get really good at it. He's okay at it, but Pascal's the best one at getting the ball out of the double team. And I like this. Let's make Pascal like Scottie Pippen. Let's make him just like Scottie Pippen. The way they used to run the old Bulls with Scottie Pippen as the point forward. Let's just do that. And then, Fred's like John Paxson. It's that easy. Just do it that way. Monique is saying, not Raptors news. If you were score watching, Warriors beat the Celtics. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned this, actually. A rematch of the finals from last year, the Warriors and the Celtics. Well, the Celtics have really been a juggernaut this year so far with their record and the way they're reeling off wins and just taking care of business left and right. Well, they come and see the Warriors. The Warriors are not necessarily at the top of their game right now. They've been having a hard time. This is out in Golden State, this game. And the Warriors beat them. And I actually really like that because it reinforces that they beat them in the finals last year. And the Celtics get knocked down a peg. I'm always happy with that. But yeah, that was a good outcome for that game as far as I'm concerned. I was very happy to see that happen. That Golden State took care of the Celtics. And not only that, they beat them pretty handily. It wasn't that close by the end of the game. Logical Raptors fanatic saying, Lex, facts on the rebounding stat of Boucher. He's more effective low coming in under hang on, it jumped. He's more effective low coming in under the defending rebounds. He's good in two ways. He's good coming in, sneaking in under that way. He's also good at going above people and kind of looking like he's going over their back, but not, because he goes up straight up. And if he's not riding on their back in any kind of way, they won't call over the back. Because if he can reach the ball because he's longer armed than the person he's trying to out rebound, he'll get that ball first. And sometimes it's a tip back and then he grabs it on the other side. But yeah, he's just so good at rebounding right now. And he's definitely somebody who could teach a clinic on the other Raptors on how to get positioning and look at rebounds and how he anticipates where to go. Because I really do feel like he's studying Rodman. I know he is, in fact. Naco the Nachos here is saying, I'm scared for the season more than I am for the future. Yeah, and this is a good point of perspective from Naco the Nacho this morning. It's like he's scared more for this season, just inside this season and what's going to happen, than the whole future of the Raptors. And the things that are going to happen for us are great. We're all trending up. It's just that we're in the present day. We're kind of like fine tuning and worried, and things aren't clean, and we're not winning. And this season may be kind of a development, kind of tough, up and down 500 season. But we should not be worried about the future and the things that are going to happen with our team long term. Good things are going to happen no matter what. Nameless is saying, I can't listen to NBA Chev anymore. He's too negative about our roster and players. We forget that he's not really from here, and we'll have no problem bashing us. Oh, has he been like that recently? I see. I don't like that, and this is a tough time. I know I've come real close to being too negative too this week, and it's hard. It's really hard to balance things. It really is getting back to what is your purpose of why you're trying to do your content. Do you care about the team and you want them to win championships? Well, that is my whole motivation. And that's really where I go from with this. If I'm critical, it better be constructive and helping to show the way that they can get it right and not just like tearing them down for the sake of tearing them down or kicking somebody while they're down. That there's a difference in that. And you can really tell that in different Toronto Raptors content makers, whether they're just kicking people down or they're actually trying to help the situation. And that is really the way you can kind of suss it out. I think that Chev has good intentions and he wants the team to win, but it isn't nice to just kind of like pour on the salt when somebody's already wounded, you know? Yeah, I don't know what he's saying because, like I said, I haven't listened to him pretty much since I started this channel just because I did not want to copycat or have any kind of like say the same things. I don't want, if I say the same things, it's because we're just saying the same things because we're seeing the same things. It's not because I've seen them. Cowboys saying the Raptors have to play like the Rico runs. We need to play fast with a lot of energy and get the rebounds. And I think Raptors figure everything out. We finally get a win streak. Let's go. This is a great prediction, Bradley, and I hope you're right. But the games are getting harder. We could have won that game on Friday. We'd be on win today. We would have had a 3-game win streak. But no, we fucked up the first game in Orlando, and it's too bad. Seymour saying Fred is mad at Michael Grange for reporting. Why did Fred unfollow all his teammates? Oh yeah, well that was funny in the interview, and he's kind of not. He's mad at him, but he's not really that mad at him. Whatever. If they don't want to answer questions from Michael Grange, hey, go for it, Fred. Next time you see him in the media scrum, say, Michael, I'm not taking your question. Just ignore him or something like that. You go and do that. Players have done that to certain reporters before if they pissed them off. Seymour, the reason why you unfollowed everyone is because much like a lot of other people on Twitter and Instagram right now, the algorithms are changing. And sometimes things that you see on your feed aren't the things you want to see. And especially with Twitter, with Elon Musk coming in there, Fred's seeing a lot of weird stuff in his timeline all of a sudden that he doesn't want to see. So he was told by someone, you just go ahead and unfollow everyone. You can restart it and reset it up with who you want to see. So he just massively unfollowed everyone. He unfollowed his fiance, he unfollowed his mother, he unfollowed all of the teammates. The only thing he really kept, he said, was he followed the Toronto Raptors team page. It's because he didn't want anybody reading in that deeply. But he didn't understand that everyone was going to read into everything that he did. But he did it to everybody. And it was really just he's trying to get more of a grips on his social media and controlling it better. And this is also the reason why Shantae is private with a lot of her social media at this point also. That they're dialing it back because they feel like maybe they're watched too much or maybe they just don't want as many people in their business. That's why. It has nothing to do with his teammates. It has nothing to do with anybody except for us, the fans. He's trying to get more barriers up social media wise from the fans. And that's why he did all that. And he explained it the other day. And there's nothing weird about it. Him and all of his teammates are great. The team is fine chemistry wise. I just think they're a little lackadaisical with their approach right now. And they're not being completely professional as far as coming in to try and win and really taking it seriously. That is the big problem. It's not a chemistry issue. It's not an internal issue like players or the coach or anybody's not getting along. It really has to do with just not being motivated and being flat and not going and saying, we got to take care of this to win this game and not getting it done. It's that kind of stuff. Monique saying the Grizzlies Truth premiere in Toronto last night. News and notes for y'all. Yeah, there's a new movie out. It's a documentary on our other Canadian team that we had when the Raptors came into the league with the Vancouver Grizzlies. It's all about those early years and the team being in Vancouver. It's I'm sure it's a great documentary, but it's all about what happened with that Grizzlies franchise in Vancouver, the history of it and why they left. So very, very interesting, I'm sure. I haven't seen it, but congratulations to them. I have one gripe with it, though. The Grizzly Truth is spelled wrong. The word grizzly is not Grizzlie. It's Grizzly. And that it should be the Grizzly Truth with the Y on the end of it. That when you pluralize grizzly, it's IES. And this person just didn't figure that out. That Grizzlies, when you put it back singular, it has a Y on the end of it. There's no such thing as a Grizzly with an LIE at the end of it. And I wrote something about it. I was like, why did you do this? Because it's like grammar police and spelling police. There's no such word as the word grizzly with the LIE at the end of it. It is a lie in itself. And maybe that's part of the weird art of it, is that they wanted, I don't know, maybe that has something to do with the story, that they wanted to put the lie at the end of grizzly. I don't know. It's just weird spelling. For an English major like me, it was like right away, I was like, that is fucked up. And why would they name this movie this when it's grammatically incorrect? Uh, Shane Waters is saying positive vibes being sent to all my fellow freaks. This is a long race and we're fighting adversity just fine. The petty losses like Friday night are what make us learn and grow. Let's go Raptors. Good to see Shane Waters. I saw you pop in at the end of the last stream. Didn't get to read your comment, and I'm glad you showed up in time to get you read this time. Yeah, I like this total take is exactly right. We're going to keep things positive and keep the vibes going. We fight through adversity. Things are going to be fine. It's just we're in a dark time right now. And I really appreciate you, Shane, bringing in that take and putting it out there right now. I really do. Mike's saying, Mo, you saw it? I'm seriously into her first doc, Finding Big Country, and super excited for this new one. She's honestly a brilliant documentarian. Yeah, I've heard good things about her too, and the things that she's doing. And that's fantastic. I love it. But I do have a gripe with the spelling. Name is saying, you won't like what NBA Chev is saying about Toronto right now, bashing us and putting us down like an out-of-towner would. Okay, well then this is part of why I'm not invested in him. And maybe this is where things separate in certain ways. You know, if I don't ever want to go that route. I promise you guys I never will. I will always stand on this side of the Raptors, and I'm not going to kick them when they're down. I mean, I may get upset and come at them in certain ways where I get upset, and maybe it may rub some of y'all wrong in some ways because you don't see what I see. And but I'm always willing to come around and say when I'm wrong, or if I'd say something that's fucked up, you guys think it's out of pocket and maybe like too harsh, please call me on it. Please call me on it, because in some ways I don't want to be that kind of person that will turn on the team when they're not doing well like this. And if he's doing that right now, I don't like that. I don't like that he's doing that. And maybe in some ways he is showing that he's not a real one. And I don't like that. Well, if people are there and they're arguing with him and they're upset with him, direct them to me. If you're in NBA Chef's channel and say, well, you're turning on the team. Well, I know somebody who won't, and that is the Raptors freak. So tell him to come and see me. And maybe Chev needs to come see me too. Bradley's saying they always are and always will, nameless. Laugh out loud. Well, I mean, it is true. If you didn't grow up in this city, if you did not have a real affinity and connection to the city of Toronto or the Canada as a country, you may not be as have as much a strong like allegiance to rooting for this team, you know, and that is part of it too. You just can't get it. If you live in New York, you've always lived in New York, and you've never been to Toronto, and you've never been to actually Raptors game in the arena. It's hard to be that big of a super fan when you haven't done any of that. And I mean, I love Shep, and I just love that he's mostly a force for good for the Raptors world. But yeah, I don't like hearing what he's doing now. It's not good. Cowboys, Starscream saying Junkyard Dog as well. Yeah, bringing him up. That's a good person to bring up for like rebounding. And you know, his defensive presence down low though he was a little shorter though, so he wasn't really good at the centers, but he was very good at like boxing out like secondary, like small forwards and power forwards. But centers, JYD couldn't really totally handle. He could to some extent, but not for a whole game. Like he could do spot duty guarding centers. But JYD had a hard time. But he was very good, like defensively, just hustle all around. But in some ways, he wasn't exactly the same kind of player as like Oakley or Serge Ibaka. Let's see. Logical Raptors Fanatics saying the forgotten heavy Chuck Hayes. Yeah, Chuck Hayes. He's a weird one because he definitely played defensive center, and he's like 6'7". He's like not a very big guy, not a very tall guy, but very much a good wedge and somebody that could very much direct traffic down near the basket and be a good defensive kind of center for sure. Chuck Hayes. He was Masai's quick fill off the Rudy Gay trade. Yeah, Chuck Hayes was great. That trade actually brought us 4 different guys that were different levels of helping us. You know, Grevis Vasquez was a very good backup point guard when we first got him. Patrick Patterson ended up being the most valuable out of those guys, being a great role player for us for a few years. and really being a good playoff like piece as far as like part of our playoff rotation during those years, and just somebody that we needed. And then of course John Solomons, he didn't really do a whole anything. He was kind of a fail. And Chuck Hayes, he was about third on that list as far as importance. A fan favorite, and definitely somebody that we we love talking about in Raptors Nation. Chuck Hayes is a legend in Raptors circles for sure. Naco the Nacho saying Pascal's good enough at point guard duties to make Khem look real good. Cam Thomas is underrated in my opinion. Yeah, Cam Thomas is a young player and he's just starting to come up, but I'm starting to notice him too. Let's see. Yeah, Pascal, I'd love to see him do the Pippen point forward. Really, really would. Blackhawk saying Nick Nurse is not playing Khem often because Khem's knees flare up when he plays big minutes. If you can keep Khem 15 minutes tops without his knees flaring up the next game, then it's good. You know what? This is great insight, and this totally makes sense. Blackhawk, thank you. Thank you for illuminating this. In fact, I do kind of remember them saying this about Khem in the last couple of weeks, that they wish they could play him more. But we saw how much he went through last year with his knees. And in fact, Scotty said this summer. I totally forgot that I was talking to him about Khem this summer. I was saying, why don't you guys feed Khem more? Because he seems like he's a good post offensive player. Like he makes a lot of shots when he gets shots near the basket. And Scotty kind of laughed and he said, yeah, we wish Khem would score more. We encourage him to, but he's also kind of passive and he doesn't want to score. He's like passing it off to other people. And then the other thing he told us about Khem was that his knee was hurting him all last year, that he's never been 100% healthy with the Raptors. And this may still be true. And having the insight, Scott being his teammate and seeing what he's dealing with, he told us, he's like, listen, Khem's hurt all the time. His knee is hurt all the time. And I think Blackhawk's exactly right on maybe why Nick doesn't play him that long, is because he's worried about flaring it up and then all of a sudden he can't play. And it's weird because he got the one knee worked on and fixed, and it's the other knee now that is messing him up this season. Last season's knee is better. It's not even the same knee this year that it was as last year. It's like last year it was the one knee, and then this year it's the other knee flaring up. And I think Blackhawk just hit the nail on the head for the reasons why Khem's not getting play. I've got to remember this, that his knees maybe cannot take a lot of minutes and that he's measuring when he plays. But that still doesn't make sense on why he doesn't play him some nights. Well, maybe it's because he's having a flare up that day and he's really not feeling that well. I'm going to have to pay attention to this. I think Blackhawk just hit the nail on the head. Seymour saying Kuminga poster on Tatum was pretty cool last night. Oh, he threw it down on Jason Tatum. I might actually have to go look at the highlights for that. I enjoy stuff like that. Nameless is saying, Chev, top line, fake ass fans for your views, subs, and comments, y'all. Be wary. You're in the right place right now, people. Well, that's the thing. People know that Fan Nation for Raptors is very strong online. You can get a lot of traffic really quick. You can get a lot of comments. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm not covering the Raptors because I know that it's a popular topic and it gets a lot of attention online. I'm covering the Raptors because I love them and I'm passionate about that team. It's all the reasons why I tell y'all. It's not necessarily that, oh, I'm an NBA guy. What team in this league is very good? And maybe I should talk about them more because maybe it'll inflate my numbers. And that could be part of this phenomenon with some of the guys south of the border. There's nothing wrong with that. In some ways, their voices have been very good, and I really appreciate them. But yeah, we start to see true colors when things like this start to happen. Yeah, thank you, Nameless, for the plug. And yeah, y'all go ahead and give them the alternative. If y'all are still in those spaces and people are wondering where they can go to get that, you tell them about me. G's saying Serge and Gasol were replaced by Precious and Koloko in a way. This is why I tempered my expectations this season. Raw and young players, balance of winning and development. Well, they've been gone for 2 years now, and we've kind of replaced them with different people at different times, whether it was Aaron Baines and Alex Lynn, and then it was Freddie Gillespie and Khem Birch. There's different guys who've kind of come in and try to fill it. And you're right. They're young. They're developing. They are the future. Koloko's obviously our future center for the future. Obviously. He has to be. He's so good, and we got such value for him at the early second round that we need to continue. Like, he should be our future center for sure. And this is part of where we may need to be patient, is that developing those big guys. And I don't know if Precious is a good comparison to Serge, but maybe. I don't know. I mean, I get what G's saying here with his statement, though, and I kind of agree. But this is where we got to say, like, where is the balance with winning and development this year? Is the balance more heavy on the development side for this season? Because I don't know if it's going to be on the winning side this year, just from how things are going. Starscream saying Junkyard Dog, Drum Williams, he was a Raptor, right? Yeah, he's one of our favorites here. He's a very much a cult classic favorite Raptor in our history, and he loves Toronto. He comes back for our games all the time, but I know he's also been involved with the New York Knicks and also the Detroit Pistons. He also played for the Bulls. Those are the 4 teams he played for in his career. But he was so overjoyed to come and play for the Raptors, and he really is like a huge fan favorite for us. And he still comes back to our games. In fact, we have the mascot suit of him that runs out there with Muggsy Bogues and different old Raptor legends. We have the JYD guy who comes out too. So he's very much a part of our alumni nation, and he very much a very strong Toronto supporter to this day. And we love the JYD. Logical Raptors fanatic saying Blackhawk facts. Birch is like 75% healthy still, not gonna lie. And Starscream, yeah, JYD is a Raptors cult hero and loved and remembered by most. He's like saying exactly what I said. Now that makes sense. 75% health for Birch, and maybe that's why he's tempered on such a small leash. Well, maybe you need to figure it out. Maybe you only play him at the very beginning and then test him later, or I guess maybe you're holding him as an emergency just in case throughout the game, and then if things get really, really bad down low, then you bring him in and you get it shut down that way. I don't know. I mean, I would maybe start him and just play him the first 5 minutes of the game. And if you don't have to play him for the whole rest of the game after that, that may be smart in itself. You play him right at the beginning just to establish things. And if they take and they stay that way for the game, then you did a good job. But otherwise, it's like, why would you let them get good feelings going on the Orlando side like we did on Friday? And then boom, it's like Franz Wagner's out of control. Paolo's doing this. Mo Bamba's doing this. Bobo. Why can't we stop them from getting good feelings going from the start and having the best defensive team out there possible? All right, let's keep going. Cool Cat saying Jason Tatum didn't look MVP material in the Warriors game. Laugh out loud. NBA Chev was mad and cussed, but he also explained what needs to be done by each player. Okay, so Cool Cat's giving it both sides of this on Chev, that he was mad and he's cussing, he's upset the team's losing, but he did give shine a light and give some constructive criticism also. She's probably right. It's just it may turn people off to hear somebody like go off like that in some ways, because especially when we're hearing him go off and it's usually on our side and making us feel good about maybe dissing another team. Well, if he's using that against the Raptors, I can see where people get turned off by it. But his main message may mean very well, and he's just trying to be constructively criticizing too. Yeah, I love Jason Tatum looking bad. I really do. Bradley's saying the Junkyard Dog was fucking awesome. Yeah, he was. G saying, for me personally, I saw Chev's latest rants as critical, but solution-based also. I don't care for negativity, but he was fair across the board with players at least and didn't just pick on one player. Okay. I'm glad to hear there's a more well-rounded opinions on what Chev's been saying lately. That's good. Shane's saying, I think the only way a rookie can get respect is by taking his lumps and earning respect. I'm not opposed to Koloko starting till Precious comes back. Then you alternate them pending the opponent. Yeah, I guess. I'm not big on Koloko starting. I think it's a big fail. I think that he can get good, solid minutes and learn a lot about playing at the NBA level without having to start. I think that he just hurts us too bad with setting the tone for the game. And that he can minimize how much that impacts by not starting him. Starting somebody really does impact how you start the game. And that's really what we should be thinking about. It's like, how does this person start the game and what do they help us establish in the game? Well, we need to establish low post defense. And if Koloko's not doing that, then he's a fail as a defensive center. And he's not scoring for us. So it's like, what the fuck is he doing to help at the beginning of the game? He's just a blocker, a shot blocker that's kind of a threat for that. That's not good enough. He needs to produce more. He needs to be a defensive seal if he's not going to score any points. It's not enough just to say, oh, give him experience. He can get experience in all kinds of different ways. We don't need to fast track him as quickly as Scotty in some ways. And I don't know. I don't totally agree with how much they're throwing him out there. And if Precious comes back and that's going to be his starting spot, which I love that idea, I don't think Koloko should be switched in and out for him, even if it's a defensive matchup. I'm just really against Koloko starting at this point. I've seen the failure of it. And I know that it has a lot to do with our recent trouble. Is Koloko starting? People don't want to say it, but that is a big part of what's going on right now. Starscream saying Vancouver deserves a team, in my opinion. I don't think so. And this is coming from a Canadian guy, a guy that loved that there were 2 Canadian teams. I think Montreal is next. There's another Canadian team that Montreal needs to get a team. And Vancouver lost their shot. The city didn't take care of the team in the right way. I know that it was the city's fault in a lot of ways, the politics and the people there. But also, that team was not supported very well. They did not get good attendance numbers in the time that they were there in a lot of ways. And Vancouver's not a very good market for the NBA in a lot of different reasons. There's so much outdoor sports that people do by themselves. They don't have to watch sports. They go play sports because that city is built for that. So, like, passive spectator sports is not necessarily what people that are into athletics are like in Vancouver. They'd like to rather go out there and ski and mountain bike and hike themselves than to go down to the GM place and watch the Grizzlies play. So I don't think it's a very good city. Plus, at that time, they had Seattle right across, and they were stealing all kinds of I think Seattle needs to come back first before Vancouver. The Seattle SuperSonics fans deserve their team, and they're in the same market. And it would take away from, if they had a Vancouver team, it would take away from the Sonics being successful and coming back. And I really want that. The Sonics are a great franchise, and the city of Seattle deserves an NBA team before Vancouver does. So if between Seattle and Vancouver, I'm going to pick Seattle. And that's not even me being anti-Canadian. It's just that Vancouver's gotten a shot. And in some ways, it was a fail. It very much was a fail, the Vancouver Grizzlies. And I may watch that Grizzly Truth movie, and maybe it'll tell me something different about what happened. But still, it's not a good city for the NBA. Montreal is, and that's where I'd like to see them go next. Lolita's saying at Cool Cat, NBA Chev can be mad and cussed a lot, but he always has a solution to the problem. You just have to look for it. Yeah. Yeah. And as long as he's not being totally out of pocket with some of the stuff he's saying. Yeah. Montreal and Vancouver deserve a team. I don't know if Vancouver does. Seriously. I mean, we could start talking about other Western cities before them. Calgary. Talk about Calgary. Maybe Calgary deserves an NBA team before them. Like I said, Vancouver got their shot. And maybe the Grizzly Truth will tell me why it didn't work out, and maybe they do deserve another team. But the market is Seattle's. That should be a Sonic territory around there. Vancouver is too close to Seattle, and we want to see the Sonics come back. Let's see. Nameless, love how protective you are of the team in the city. Yeah, Nameless is awesome. Nameless has been one of the strongest Raptor Freak recently in all kinds of different places. Cool Cat saying, folks should not be offended by NBA Chev. He is a fan of the team. He is applying his knowledge in NYC Edge. He offers solutions. Well, I mean, some people's styles will just rub people the wrong way in some ways. I'm sure my styles rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. They'd come and looked at me and they'd be like, I can't watch this guy. And it could be partly that, is that like Chev's style is just starting to rub people the wrong way because he's being a little more negative towards the Raptors than usual. And some people just don't want to deal with that. They don't want to hear it. Like, it's tough. It's a tough balance when the team's struggling and not doing well to talk about them in a fair way and not totally be like, just like, yeah, nothing's wrong. Or also being like, everything's doomsday. You have to find that middle ground somewhere. Monique saying, no, I didn't go to the Grizzlies Truth. I was invited to the premiere, but couldn't go. I am great friends with the filmmaker for those asking. That's awesome. That's awesome, Monique. Oh, man, that's too bad you couldn't have gone to the premiere. That's fantastic that you were invited to go to that. I'm really curious to hear about it. I'd love to hear more about Big Country, Sharif Abdur-Rahim, Mike Bibby, Michael Dickerson. There was like all these different like Arizona guys on that team, different players that played for them out there. Tony Massenberg. Yeah, I can name some Grizzlies from back in the day. But yeah, I'll have to check out that movie somewhere. And that's cool that you know her. I mean, don't tell her that I said that about the word grizzly because it isn't a real word. It really isn't. I don't know where she got that. That's not you pluralize grizzly, Grizzly, to be grizzlies, the way that it's spelled in your comment. There's no such thing as just drop the S and it's Grizzlie. It's a bear. And they do not call the grizzly a grizzly with an LIE at the end of it. But maybe it's because she wanted to put that word lie in there. That may be why it is. It may be that artistically it's that. But grammatically, it's driving me nuts. It really is. Because it's not proper spelling. All right, let's see. Logical Ravage Fanatics saying Salmons became Nagira. Jervis became the picks. Why are you always trying to compare everybody? Oh, you're saying what they became down the road. Okay, so we got Lucas Nogueira because of John Salmons. Vasquez became the picks for Powell and OG. Though trades we hold through trades we held P squared for the longest, and Chuck was let go. It was a solid trade for sure. One of the greatest trades in Raptors history, the Rudy Gay trade. It's just a fantastic trade and all kinds of things. The reverberations of that trade are still felt to this day, 10 years later, with guys like OG on our team. Okay, Vinny Max here. Good to see Vince McMahon on this Sunday, snowy Sunday morning. Let's see what Vince is saying. If you had to give a letter grade to Raptors right now, what it would be? A C. Yeah, I don't even have to think about it. They're playing at C level right now. They're not playing at B level. In fact, I may have actually say C minus. I won't say D, but I'll say a C minus. I really do feel like they're level right this minute because it's different. We could talk about the Laker game, how they played that night, and how they played on Friday night. I'm going to say just overall for the whole season, C minus. That they've really dropped the ball in certain situations that they need to capitalize and make the wins happen. And part of the problem is right now we're not beating the teams that we used to rise up and had no business beating, like last year. If we'd beaten Boston last week, I'd be like, we're in good shape. But no, we lost to Boston. We're losing to all the teams that we're supposed to possibly be competing with, like Brooklyn and Boston. And we're not beating enough of them. Like Cleveland, we're doing okay against. We've beaten Cleveland twice. But the other Eastern Conference powers were not like meeting the challenge of beating them. And I hate that. And so I'll say C minus. That's the grade I'm giving them for this season, Vinny. But it could go up as they get better over the season. By the end of the season, I could be telling you they got a B plus by the end of the season, or maybe even an A. Hopefully they do even crazier better. So come check back with me at different times during the season, but I'll say C minus right now. Canadian Cowboys saying, I know Koloko hasn't been the best, but he's going to be great later on. But on another note, they got to pass the ball to him on the pick and roll. I see him get open, but they don't trust him. What do you think? All right, Brad. I know Bradley's huge on Koloko because he's on his team, and I am too for the future. It's just right now I'm not liking how much they're using him right now. I just think that it's just not smart to start him. I think that that they could use the pick and roll with him and Fred more often. That'd be great. Practice it, get it going, get it more comfortable for him. And I don't understand why they're not trying to do it more because it seems like it would be an easy score and that they just need to do it. Maybe other teams are playing defensively to guard against pick and rolls happening. I don't know. But I agree with you. I'd love to see them actually try and get Christian to play more offensively. This is why I think he'd be better at the 905. Is because they'd let him be the number one dude. He could be Pascal on the 905 and get so much offensive opportunity to just try and score. And it may be lesser opponents and easier and not exactly what he's going to be meeting in the main roster, but at least build it up. Build it up. Let him have some success down there. Let him really key on footwork. Let him really try and go up against different levels of contact and get really good at finishing through contact at the 905 level. I feel like they're wasting that opportunity, that he could be very high usage down there, and they could really be starting to develop him offensively better if he's down in the 905. I think that Delano is a better offensive player on the NBA level because he played so much offense on the 905 level last year, that he's more confident offensively at the main roster because he was the man last year for the 905, and he had to score like crazy down there. So why can't we do that for Christian? Send him down there and let him be the man and get like 30, he could get 20 to 30 shots a game at the 905. That's right. Anyway, but I know you love him and he's going to be great. He's going to be fantastic. It's just his rookie year. He's a second round pick. He's being thrown to the fire as a starting center, as a skinny guy who just is not going to be able to beef up and go against beefy guys that are playing against him right now. It's just a mismatch instantly at the beginning of the game. As soon as you start him, Nick, he's a mismatch. I don't care who we're playing. He has not shown that he's sound enough defensively and staying in the scheme to not fuck up and let the door open for the other team. So I don't know. I really wish they do that. Either that or like it just I don't know. I'm not down on Koloko. I love him. He's a great pick. He's fantastic. It's just that I want them to use him properly. Blackhawks saying, FYI, none of our players are scoring in the center position because Fred VanVleet is not focusing on lobs, pick and rolls, and pick and pops often enough. Yeah, I mean, we're not really using like Scotty is kind of playing center when he does those like moves down low. That is kind of like center scoring. He's kind of playing offensive center when he's down in the post and he's in the paint like that. That is very much center work there. But you know what? It's not even lobs because that's not even really center work. Center work is like if you're gonna play center, it's very much low post. It's very much like Patrick Ewing, Akeem Olajuwon kind of stuff, where you catch the ball on the side on the low post and you got the guy on your back and you dribble and then you try and shoot over him or you make a move, you do a dream shake, you do something. Maybe it's a turnaround fadeaway like Ewing used to do. You know, that's classic center offense. And you know, it's not really like attacking the rim totally in some ways because I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. Let's see. Cool Cat saying we start Koloko because he's a rim protector, best defending rating with him starting. Nurse told him to go block everything. He's doing what the coach wants. Big picture in mind, teaching refs. I know, but it's a failed. It's just a failure. There's not good results from it. You can just see it on the court. We don't have a defensive seal when he's out there. He's a screen door. He's too skinny and too easy to go around. And he's not good at like meeting people yet. Like if he could get better at meeting people and cutting them off, then I'd be okay with him starting, but he's not good at that yet. He doesn't get in their way. They come right into the basket and they just get layups and he just stands there and watches it. And I know he's young and like, sure, the numbers may look really good. And it may be partly because he's a threat and he's like imposing and people are like changing shots and statistically, but there's another aspect to it. And it really is that beef and that holding the fort kind of thing. He doesn't hold the fort. He opens the door and they walk right in. He is the same defensive presence as Aaron Baines does in some ways, other than that he can block shots. To me, he's the same defensive presence as Aaron Baines right now. And that's what I'm saying. Now the defensive rating may look good with him starting, but why isn't the results look good? Because it's not working right. I mean, it could look like some of the stats may look right, but the results and what's happening on the court aren't looking right. And that's what I'm looking at, the eye test. I'm not necessarily looking at the stats because the stats in this situation don't tell the whole story. And the whole story is that other teams are just scoring at will, and they're not even that good of teams that are doing this. That's what I'm saying. That's why this is a huge fail. He's got to get a basic, like, this is my land, this little box in the paint. And nobody's coming in here. If they do, they're getting me swatting them, or I'm going to elbow them, or I'm going to put them on their butt on the floor. He's not doing any of that. He's not got the Charles mentality, Charles Oakley mentality. Is like, you come into my paint, I'm putting you on the floor. No, but he's not doing that. Khem Birch does that. You come into the paint when Khem Birch is down there, he puts you on the floor. And that's the difference right there. That's the difference right there. I want to believe, but to me, this is a huge thing that he could change and it could make things better. And I'm not even saying that he has to start Khem. Start Thaddeus. Just start one of those two other guys that can play center and kind of like hold things down a little bit better. All right, let's keep going. Mike saying, Mo, seriously. Yeah. And Mo saying, I give the Raps a B-, and that's not being mean. It's because I know how great we can be. So watch what you say about us. Just kidding. Yeah, B-. I mean, that's fair. I started to say B, but then I was like, no, actually, they're more like a C. Blackhawk saying, the C rating is the reason for the rants in the Raptors community. That's why the rants don't bother me. It's people getting their frustration off of their chest, not negativity. Yeah, I can agree with that. You know, everybody has different ways to deal with it. My whole thing is just as long as it's constructive. It's constructive because some people who just talk shit. Yeah, I really feel like that. Seymour, I know I'm saying Aaron Baines type defense. I know that's really tough, but G saying too many players are getting and ones on Koloko. Koloko will be so good, but he's definitely raw. Centers take time to develop in the NBA. They really do, especially offensively. But yeah, I think that it's true. Like he's getting shitty fouls where they finish it and get a 3-point play. Let's see, dude, either go all the way or don't half-ass it. You really need to fucking decide what you're doing. If you're going to foul that guy, foul him real good so he doesn't make it, or just leave him alone and let him make the shot. Because half-ass fouling where they get 3-point plays is worse than you even just giving up on the shot. Now, you're going to look bad if you let him just have a lay-in, but at least you didn't give him the free throw also. So if you're going to foul him correctly. Make sure they don't make it. Mike saying we saw this happen with Siakam starting, and we were doing well till Siakam hit the wall, but it was from the Jared Sullinger injury. We kept playing him, and not gonna lie, Konono is 4 picks lower than Siakam. Yeah. Yeah. Cool Cat saying, remember, Pascal, Scotty don't like playing center. It kills them out being out of position. Nurse has to listen to those two guys. Koloko is our on-court developing until Precious returns. Okay, I can live with this. If this is what the plan is, if Precious is going to get that starting spot when he comes back, I'm all for it. I love that idea. But it's still, if they don't like playing center, then let's put that in. Let's put in Khem. There's alternatives still. And that's what I'd like to look at as far as things. So, all right, let me do. I guess we still have the real Raptor mascot. The real Raptor mascot matchup today is brought to you by Subway. All right, the Raptor's still in the bed. He's in the sauna room, the torture room, Nurse Annette, all that stuff. He's found out his lake of sweat can help him wriggle out of the bed if he needs to. They're still bringing him Subway, Bowlway. Well, they brought him some Bowlway recently. It's the only thing they're feeding him. He just gets Bowlway from Subway. It's really crazy. That's like all he eats. It's like that's all they could bring him. And they brought him some Bowlway from a Subway, but the Subway is not the best bowl like Subway. It's kind of like, how Subways are. There's good Subways that have fantastic, fresh, quality food there. And then there's Subways that are kind of managed by idiots and maybe they're shitty Subway. Well, he got his Bowlway from a shitty Subway this time. And he's looking at it, and the lettuce is all wilted and kind of a little brown. And some of the rice is overcooked in the Bowlway. It just tastes like shit. And it actually kind of made him feel sicker. This recent Bowlway that he got, this magical Bowlway, was not good. The one he just got recently. But, hopefully he can get a better one in the near future, a healthier one that will be full of vitamins and fortified with goodness that'll help strengthen him to make a break for it to get the hell out of that room. We're still waiting for that. Maybe he can get a better Bowlway today, because the last one he got was shitty lettuce. The kind I'm talking about at Subway. Sometimes you walk in, you're like, man, what is this? You need a new salad bag because this lettuce looks like shit. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, there's your real mascot matchup. Let's hope that they go to a better Subway and get a better Bowlway for tonight. Better Bowlway. Hopefully, we'll see. All right, let's finish up the stream, and I'll just go ahead and go over the injuries again real quick. Otto Porter Jr., Wancho, and Precious all out today for sure. OG is questionable due to a left hip soreness. So OG, we may not have OG tonight. So whatever we have, whatever we do, the Raptors just need to try and win no matter what. Orlando has the same injuries as Friday night. Nothing has really changed at all. Okiki's out. Gary Harris, Jalen Suggs, Jonathan Isaac, and Wendell Carter Jr. are all out for the Magic. Our referees for tonight, the referees for the 1 o'clock G League game, Raptors 905 are at Maine Celtics, 1 o'clock today. Jenna Renault is the head ref. Julian Scott and Rachel Rayford, that is the ref crew for Maine. And then in Orlando for the Raptors game, it's Ben Taylor, Kevin Cutler, and Inte Huang. Ben Taylor, we've lost our last 2 games with him refereeing. Kevin Cutler is the referee that threw Fred out in that game recently. So that's who we're dealing with. And Inte Huang is a very, very new ref. This may be actually his first year reffing. So there's that, and there's that. And keys to victory tonight, seriously, establish a low post presence defensively, and then establish a low post presence offensively also. Do both tonight. Get down low and score near the basket first. If you're the first guy who's going to take a three-pointer for the Raptors tonight, you make that three-pointer. Make sure you're wide open and you are dialed in and you make that shot, because you set the tone for the team shooting-wise for the rest of the game. If we just come out and start breaking threes and missing threes, well, we'll probably do that the whole game. But if we can get in the groove right away, get some good feelings going, you are a leader to help us at the three-point line, whoever is shooting the threes first, Fred, Gary, whoever. And then same thing for the free throw line. If you get to the free throw line first as a Raptor, you need to go ahead and hit those first couple of free throws, because you established that's being taken very seriously for the game also, and that we're not going to be missing free throws. So it's all about establishing things, Raptors. establishing a low post defensive presence, establishing good rotation, communication on the defensive end, establishing good synergy and chemistry by moving off the ball, moving together on the offensive end, and finding each other for easier baskets than trying to work so hard in isolation against three guys, one dude trying to beat three guys. Pass out of that double and get that open man. Get to pick and roll. Christian and Fred, just do these kind of things and make your life easier, because y'all aren't doing it. You're not making life easier for yourself. You're making life harder for yourself by giving the other team a huge lead and then having to come back all the time. Fuck that shit. You need to be the one with the big lead where they're trying to come back on you. So, I sound like a broken record with the keys to victory. Come out, strike first, be prepared, play well right at the beginning, play the whole 48 minutes, all that kind of stuff. It's all in effect. Think about you're a leader and you set the trend on the three-point line, at the free throw line, down low, defensively, all these kind of ways, individually and as a team. And then also, let's see if y'all listened to the coaches in practice yesterday about roles and figuring out how to become a role in an instant of what is needed in that instant in the game. And that you need to step to it and be the guy who accepts roles in the instant for what needs to be done for the next winning play at any given time. And this will all help us win better. We got to win today, because if I do a reaction tomorrow to a loss, it's going to be dark. It's going to be real, real dark. So we need to win so that I can have a happy reaction tomorrow. I believe in the Raptors. I believe that they will be better by the end of the year. I believe in Christian Koloko. I believe in Scotty Barnes. I believe in Fred VanVleet. I believe in Gary Trent Jr. I believe in Pascal Siakam. I believe in Nick Nurse. I just want to see better results, and I know y'all can do better, and I know you will. You just got to get yourself back on track and have a better professional mentality about being a professional NBA team. Play like it. You are an NBA team. You play in the NBA. This is a tough league. These are hard games. No matter if it is the Orlando Magic, you need to take care of business. That is the only thing y'all do. And Masai Ujiri only cares about one thing, and it's that. And if y'all ain't doing that, there's going to be changes. We know that's what's going to happen. Let's see. Logical's got bad way. Yeah, it was doo-doo. And Cool Cat's saying, holy fuck, OG's out. Scotty will have to step up. Yeah, I don't know if he's out for sure. He's questionable right now. But if they're saying that he's out right now, let me see if Josh Lewenberg has said anything right this second. He's just saying he's still questionable. There's no official word if he's out for sure, but he is questionable. It could be that very much that he's not going to play. Pachuli's here. Good to see Pachuli every morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're talking Raptors. If you want to come and talk with us any day, we will be here. Chev is too invested in us that he gets emotional. I do think he means well. Yeah. He's just an emotional guy. I mean, he's passionate. That's part of the draw of his channel. He's so passionate and very bombastic and in his sayings and just his delivery and the way he goes about things. I love it. I love that energy. I love that passion. And I think you're right. He means well. And that, it's true though. He's he doesn't have the Toronto connection correctly just because he's never been here. But I do love that he's a huge fan, and that doesn't take anything away from a fan being from somewhere else and not ever coming to Toronto or going to games. It's just in some ways there's a little bit of sentimentality or connection in some ways that I may have a little bit more than he does. I mean, listen, I was born in Toronto, raised in Florida, but I was born in Toronto and I was always the outsider kid, the Canadian kid down in Florida that got picked on and treated like Pip in South Park. So you can understand where my mentality is with Canada versus US, and that I stood steadfast with Canadian side in the United States, in Florida, in the middle of Trump country, being raised down there. And then coming back here, one of the first jobs I got when I came back to Toronto after I graduated from FSU was at the Air Canada Center. And I worked in that building for 5 years during the Vince years. And I saw all the games then. I was around the team very closely and watching things from the inside, just from working in concessions in the building. So, I have a very strong connection with the team that is unbreakable in some ways. But yeah, I may have to go listen to a couple of his rants just to see where he's at. But I'm sure he's being fine and critical. And I'm not telling y'all not to listen to Chev. Chev is fantastic. He's great for Raptors Fan Nation. And I love that he's a voice for us, because he really is a good one. Monique saying, W stream only, always, Lex. Let's go Raptors. Focus, and more focus. Keep at it, Lex. Thank you, Monique. People like you help drive me and keep me the encouragement to keep going. And I appreciate you, Monique Lawrence, one of the best and greatest Raptor fans ever in the history of eternity is super fan Monique Lawrence. Isaac Campbell saying, this game is a rebound. Let's get it. Yeah, this is a rebound. We need to go get that rebound. We're getting a second chance shot today, and we need to make sure we convert. Bradley saying, let's go Raptors, and Raptor Freaks, like and subscribe. Let's go. Have a great day and night. I'm going to go shovel the sidewalk for the people. Let's go, everybody. Keep your heads up. We're going on a win streak. I love it. Yeah, go out there and do whatever you got to do today. It is Sunday, so a lot of people maybe get to just stay home and not do anything. But if you're going to do things today, do it the Raptor way, the real Raptor way, not the way that we've been seeing lately, the way that where you were winning and you are doing it with excellence and doing it with pride. And hopefully we'll get that happening today. Yeah, we're going to keep our heads up and get a win streak. Tom Duke has got a crazy Raptor head. That is a crazy Raptor head. I don't know what's going on there. And then he's got the 5 starters. I love it. Blackhawk saying 24 people watching. I only see 4 likes. Come on, people. Click the like button. It doesn't cost you anything. I appreciate that, Blackhawk. And yeah, subscribe, share, hit the like button, comment, whatever you want to do with my channel. You want to tell me to fuck off? It's fine too. Mike, thank you. W stream. All right, y'all. Have a great Sunday. And hopefully tomorrow we'll be reacting to a great Raptor victory over the Orlando Magic and very much more positive vibes going into a game for Sacramento. I appreciate everybody's patronage and being here and stuff. It's, it's early Sunday morning. A lot of people could be sleeping in, especially on a Sunday that's snowy like this. And I appreciate y'all spending your time with me. I really do. W's all around. Thank you, Tom Duke. And one more thing, guys. Let's go Raptors!